Huawei is back. 5G? Check. Android 16? Check. Global release of their best flagship ever? Check. Check. This is the Pura 90s Pro Max. It's cheaper than last year's Ultra and improves on everything, including its cameras. Here in South Africa, it only comes with 512 gigs of storage, which will set you back 27,000 Rand. That's 13,000 Rand cheaper than last year's Ultra at launch, and that's before the discount vouchers and free gifts, which you can check out on their website using the link below. Just like with all Huawei phones, you get everything that you need in the box. There's a clear hardshell case to show off that new design, a charging cable, and a 100-watt charging block. Because yes, the phone still supports 100 watts of fast wire charging, alongside 80 watts of wireless charging, but this time the battery capacity has seriously increased when compared to last year's models. It now sits at 6,000 mAh, which is almost 1,000 higher than last year's Ultra. But keep in mind that the European version of the phone only gets kitted with a 5,500 mAh cell. Alright, let's put a pin in the phone part of this phone and focus up on its cameras, because while there are improvements across the board, the cameras are still the main selling points of this phone. The 13 megapixel selfie camera is identical to last time out, and it still offers autofocus. The 50 megapixel RYYB main camera is no longer a 1-inch sensor, but most recent flagships have done away with them anyway. It's pretty close to the 1-inch size though, and still has variable aperture. The big improvement here is the addition of a low-fic HDR, which eliminates overexposed areas in photos and videos. There are only a handful of phones on the market with low-fic technology, so this is a pretty big deal. Next up is the periscope, and while Huawei have done away with the switchable telephoto we saw in last year's Ultra, this new sensor is so good that it doesn't need any movable parts. It's now a 200 megapixel camera, up from last year's 50. It's still the same size, so it is still the largest periscope seen on any phone. It has a 4x optical zoom, it's the first 200 megapixel sensor with RYYB, and it now has SEPA 7.0 level OIS, which is the highest level of image stabilization. The 40 megapixel RYYB ultra-wide camera is identical to last year's, but now there's an upgraded True to Color Camera 2.0. which is apparently 43% better at restoring color accuracy across all of its rear sensors when compared to the Pura 80 series phones. So while the ultra-wide camera might be the same, its overall color reproduction has significantly improved, even with the sun against the sensor. Edge distortion is minimal, and with the sun behind us, shadows, color, and detail are all top-notch. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is one of the best ultra-wide cameras around. Then we get to photos produced from that main camera, and honestly, the slightly smaller sensor size had no effect on final results. If anything, that low-fic technology has seemingly helped it achieve even better exposure levels, as it's relying on hardware instead of software, so bright parts of images are less blown out and more controlled. We'll be sticking to auto aperture when using the main camera throughout this test. And then we get to periscope snaps, and honestly, I have no words to describe how good this camera is. Natural depth is impeccable due to its wide aperture, color accuracy is near perfect thanks to the use of that color camera, shots were easier to take due to improved stabilization, photos have a sense of cinematic effect which almost makes it look like these images were taken on a professional, dedicated camera. Moving objects come out in full sharp focus, detail when set to 200 megapixel mode is unreal, and dynamic range is handled better than the best around. It is worth mentioning that there is a crop-in factor when using the telephoto though, jumping from the base 89mm focal length to 96mm, and when zooming in further, you get an optical quality in-sensor zoom at 8x, which looks fantastic. At 20x and up, the ISP uses raw data from the native 200 megapixel resolution and bins it down using real-time processing in order to achieve high focal length photos that look more natural, instead of what used to look more like AI-generated shots. That new telephoto camera has a minimum focusing distance of around 15 centimeters. It looks great at 4x zoom, and the max macro zoom has now doubled all the way up to 80x. Then there's something called AI composition, which first debuted with the Mate 80 series and has now been upgraded. It tells the user where to point the camera, where to stand, and the best position to be in for the current scene. It supports continuous zoom between 1x and 10x across lenses, and automatically zooms into the value that it thinks will bring the shot you're trying to take to life. This results in a photo you'd expect was taken from a professional photographer. When switching to the dedicated aperture mode and setting the main camera to its physical f1.4 aperture resulted in incredibly immersive portrait shots without the need for a portrait mode. It relies on hardware instead of software for a more natural depth effect and retains detail even at a 2x zoom. The periscope does an even better job due to its further optical focal length, and my goodness, just look at that detail. The selfie camera is identical to last year, so you still get that native 21mm focal length option, alongside a 24mm crop which is used for portrait shots. Detail is still decent, and portrait mode edge detection seems to have improved. The same can be said when taking selfies at night, but this time it looks like light noise handling has also improved when using the selfie camera. Taking portrait shots using the rear sensors at night look very good, aside from some skin smoothing despite the beauty mode being disabled. Soft focus is handled well with raw hardware, and light noise in the background leads to cinematic looking photos. Ultra-wide photos at night come out more color accurate than last time out. Edge distortion is once again minimal, light noise handling seems to have improved, and detail is actually impressive considering most ultra-wide sensors struggle in low light. Dynamic range is incredible when using the main camera at night due to low-fic technology. More than enough light is able to enter the lens despite the sensor being slightly smaller. And overall, I am very pleased with the main camera photos at night and can't wait to see how it stacks up against the competition. The periscope also seems to handle light noise better this year. Color accuracy has definitely improved, along with faster shutter speeds which allow moving subjects to stay in focus. And detail is no doubt next level thanks to that 200-megapixel sensor. Detail is retained when doubling the focal length, and light noise seems to be handled even better at 10 times. Real-time processing at 20 times zoom and up left us with images that look so good that I'd rather have this new 200-megapixel sensor instead of last year's switchable telephoto. Ultra-wide video can still be shot at 4K 60fps, and it seems even more stable than before. Detail is on par, if not better, than what the competition has to offer in terms of ultra-wide video, and thanks to that upgraded true-to-color camera, real-time color correction has improved across video as well. The main camera can also shoot at 4K 60, and with the new addition of low-fic technology, dynamic range has vastly improved, leading to video exposure being so well controlled that the highs are not too bright and the lows are not too dark, making for a more cinematic looking video. I noticed a tad bit of focus breathing, which I'm sure will be fixed with a future software update, but stability in general is very good. There's no 4K slow motion option, but there is still a 960fps option at Full HD, which is still a lot of fun and looks more than acceptable at such a high frame rate. 4x optical zoom periscope video can also be shot at 4K 60fps. Detail is very impressive, stability has certainly improved due to that new SEPA 7.0 level OIS, and I was actually surprised at how smooth panning came out when using the telephoto's native focal length. And then there's something which Huawei likes to call 20x ultra telephoto video. When recording 30fps video at 20x zoom, the phone uses intelligent real-time RAW processing to capture more detail, and this has got to be the most detailed 20x zoom video I have ever seen on a phone. It is also ridiculously stable when you consider that this is handheld video. When in aperture mode, there is still no option for 4K, but since we prefer hardware-based depth of field, regular 4K video gives off enough immersion and natural depth that you don't even need to use portrait video, due to the main and periscope's large sensor sizes and wide apertures.
Alright, so this is selfie video, and we can do so on the new Huawei Pura 90s Pro Max at 4K 60fps, which is great, but unfortunately there is still no portrait video mode option when using the selfie cam. Either way, it looks pretty impressive to me, so let me know your thoughts of the video quality as well as the microphone performance.
Selfie video at night is much like all other flagship phones, jittery with focusing issues, which is typical of most selfie cameras due to their small sizes. That said, detail is actually very good here, and light noise handling isn't terrible either. It seems nighttime selfie video has improved from last year despite it using the same sensor. Low-fic technology definitely helps out the main camera when recording video of me at night to prevent under or overexposure across the scene. I was also surprised to see how much more light was captured despite it using a slightly smaller sensor. Detail is great when using the main, but the periscope takes detail to another level, despite it being less exposed. There is no ultra-wide sensor on any phone in the world that can take perfect nighttime ultra-wide video, and while this ultra-wide camera is far from perfect, it takes video surprisingly well in a dim-lit situation with minimal focus breathing and great stability. 4K video from the main camera comes out a lot better than the ultra-wide, and honestly, even better than last year's 1-inch sensor. Plenty light enters the lens and light noise is handled very well aside from some standard lens flare. Detail is superb and so is stability. Panning with any flagship phone's telephoto at night usually leads to a lot of stuttering, or at least some. This phone keeps its stutter to the absolute minimum, and while there is some expected focus breathing, light noise handling is managed well, detail remains intact, and panning is almost as smooth as it was during the day thanks to its rock-solid stability. I've recently tested out other flagship phones that have innovative sensors, dual periscopes, and even attachable zoom lenses, and they cost almost twice the price of this. Huawei know what they're doing here. They have brought a camera phone that needs nothing but your hands to get a great shot, and I cannot wait to see how it stacks up against the competition, so stay tuned for that one. But for now, let's dive into what makes this phone a phone. Here in South Africa, you have 3 color options: graphite black, blush gold, and blaze purple, which has a dual tone finish. I have the blush gold color and much prefer it to last year's full-on gold. It's not dual tone per se, but the top of the glass backplate seems like a lighter shade flowing down into a slightly darker beige, and I really like it. Its glossy color finish matches that of the area around the camera sensors on the camera island, which still has its signature Pura shape. And there's a glossy gold trim wrapping around the module, which matches the glossy gold aluminum side rails, which are now completely flat, just like the back. It's a tad bit taller and wider than last year's Ultra, but it's thinner and lighter and still has IP68 and IP69 dust and water resistant certifications. The front is now also completely flat, which I am very happy about. And its screen is now protected by upgraded Kunlun glass, which is now even more scratch and drop resistant. But more importantly, they have managed to minimize screen reflections by up to 70%. The fingerprint sensor is still baked into the power button, but it seems more responsive and consistent. It's very quick and is now easier to tap due to those flat frames. There is still a full screen always-on display, and the display is now more in line with recent flagships due to its flat design, which I honestly prefer. The 10-bit OLED display itself is now larger at 6.9 inches, again more in line with the competition. They've bumped up the resolution to keep the same 460 ppi on a larger screen. It has the same 3000 nit peak brightness, along with the same 300Hz touch sampling rate and 1 to 120Hz LTPO refresh rate. Flagship cameras? Check. Flagship design? Check. Flagship display? Check. 5G? Check. Check. One of the main complaints of recent Huawei flagship devices is their lack of 5G. And it is finally back with the Pura 90s series devices, and I couldn't be happier. It supports dual 5G cards, and there's also an option for eSIM, which is great. Another complaint was that the previous EMUI 15 software was based off of Android 12. But now finally we get EMUI 16, which is structured over Android 16. It looks cleaner, runs smoother, animations seem more fluid, and it feels more optimized. If you've used EMUI before, you'll feel right at home. There are loads of customization options, adjustable folders, stackable widgets, plenty photo AI features, standard AI features, and an improved Celia, which is Huawei's AI assistant. You can still install Gbox, which allows you to gain access to Google services, including the Play Store and Gemini, which can even be set as your default assistant. There's still NFC for tap to pay, there's still an IR blaster, Bluetooth has been upgraded to version 6, and there's a new in-house made chipset. That being the 5nm grade Pura 9030S CPU, which has 8 cores and 12 threads, just like the 7nm Pura 9020 chip found in last year's Pura 80 series phones. But this time its max clock speed has jumped from 2.5 to 2.7 GHz. This is paired alongside LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage. Naturally, benchmark scores are slightly improved over last year's phones. Not by too much, but enough to make a difference, especially when it comes to GPU scores. Numbers don't really matter though when you realize that this thing plays games just as well as any other flagship around. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a real-time FPS meter to work, so the FPS that you're seeing here is just the screen's refresh rate. But from what I can tell, on full maxed out settings, Genshin Impact is running at a very stable frame rate that should be at 60 FPS or very close to it. I didn't notice any noticeable stutters or frame drops even when playing Wuthering Waves with all of its graphical settings cranked up. And that's saying a lot since most flagships I've tested using the best flagship chipsets around suffer from major frame rate inconsistencies when playing this game. But just like with most Huawei phones, Call of Duty Mobile still seems to be capped at 90 FPS despite the game having support for 120. Either way, I had no issues with any games I played on this device. It handled everything I threw at it very well and never felt too warm in the hand. Just like you would expect, haptic feedback feels on par with other flagships, and its dual speakers are just as good as anything else out there. They are very well balanced, get plenty loud, and stay crystal clear even at max volume. The Pura 90s Pro Max is by far the best Huawei flagship I have used in recent years. It has no issues running games, software feels great, and it's nice to know it's running on Android 16. I had no problems with Google Apps, there's finally 5G support, the flat larger display is absolutely stunning and handles reflections very well. It's built like a tank, has a gorgeous design which is now also flat, packs in a larger battery, has what might just be the best camera system on a phone, and its launch price is significantly less than last year's Ultra. It has a certain spark that many other flagships just won't give you. Suffice to say, I now have a new daily driver. As always, this is TechNick, and I'll catch you in the next one.